Good evening, good beautiful evening, everybody, as you are also. Happy to have you here in panel J. This is the second day after the full online day starting yesterday, but like the official opening is today. So we have interesting sessions and interesting paper to be presented and shared with you by some of the outstanding scholars and researchers today. They're all case studies, but they are like from Qatar. So let's introduce the our guest for today. So we have, I'm gonna just like present and address them. So we have the first session by Dr. Kevin McCormick. Shall I call upon Dr. Kevin McCormick and Dr. Khadija Mahsud? And they are from University of Doha, Science and Technology in Qatar. And their paper is, so you want to set up your scholarly communication and research division, lessons learned by two academic librarians. So we would like to welcome them, and I hope that they are arriving. Anybody arriving? Oh yeah, both of you, yes, welcome. This is Mr. Kevin, Dr. Kevin. Yeah, and Dr. Khadija, please welcome. Yeah. Before we start with the first presenters, I will also call upon Dr. Sapan Sad. And the topic is Towards Common Publishing Standards for Arabic Humanities and Social Sciences Journal. Welcome, Dr. Sapan. And we have, last but not least, Dr. Salah Ajor. And the title of the presentation is about open access publishing role of HBKU Press. Welcome, Dr. Salah. And of course, we have the first two presenters sharing the same paper. The floor is yours. Whatever, I mean, would you like to stay, to stand, as you like?
Okay.
I'll leave it to you.
Perfect. How does the clicker work? No, I don't know how the clicker works. Is it like get the pointed at the? Okay, how did you do that?
Just pressing harder.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming and staying for the last session of the day. We really appreciate it. My name is Kevin McCormick, and I'm the head of scholarly communications and research. And I'm joined by my colleague, Khadija Mahsud, who is now the head of reference and library services, but was the research librarian when we submitted this paper. And we were responsible for starting a dedicated scholarly communications team at the University of Doha for Science and Technology. And I think that there's many ways you can develop this and start this on your own if you're interested in starting a scholarly communications team at a university, but we'll just share our route that we sort of took. Nope. Okay. So a little bit about where we're coming from. From the UDST is a fairly new university, but it's also fairly old as an institution as well. It was built kind of on the backs of the College of the North Atlantic, Qatar, and before that, the College of Technology. And they were more of an applied STEM teaching institution rather than a research-focused university. So when the Canadians withdrew and we nationalized and became Qatar's second national university, there was a pivot towards a more vivid like research culture on campus. And the library decided we're going to have to respond to these new challenges and new requests that are coming in. And to do that, we decided, okay, we'll have a dedicated scholarly communications team. And in doing so, I really had to ask myself, how do you start a scholarly communications team? And to that end, I'm trying to press this button, but it's not working for me at all. Okay, I'm going to ask you the same question. if you were to start a scholarly communications team, where would you start? So I'll invite you to scan the QR code, and it has you have up to 3 prompts of things that sort of came to our minds of saying, where would we start? And keep your phone screens open because the results will actually show up on your phone screen rather than up on the board. And I won't be upset if where you would start SCR isn't on that list. It was just, well, it's a heavy question. That's why there's 3 options. So I'll only give you about a minute. I actually need to scan it myself so that I can see your results. It's kind of cool seeing the live answers come in. Like, oh, as it changes. Well, this is a bit reassuring because it's kind of pointing the direction that I went. So that's kind of nice to see. Looks like we're pretty heavy with advising researchers on promoting their visibility. Acquiring an institutional repository is a big one as well. Logistically speaking, however, that isn't exactly how I started pursuing a scholarly communications division. I took more of a top-down approach. I was in a role already on campus where I didn't have a lot of connection with the faculty per se. So I needed to put myself out there and find out who are my buyers, who are my advocates, who am I going to need to convince to get buy-in for. And I started with a more top-down approach from the deans down. And the benefit of that was the deans were able to point me to the very research-heavy scholars and start with them and kind of move forward. And all of the faculty I spoke to were actually quite grateful, it seemed, to find someone in the library that would support them in this way. And they had a list of things that they needed needed done. And so that's what I'm going to kind of respond to today. The pain points that that I've identified on campus, I'm writing closed access culture rather than framing it as an open access infrastructure issue. Was a lot of the researchers were finding that that OA was sometimes a bit of a faux pas thing to say in certain circles. And they were like, well, this is more of a closed access space rather than an open access space. And questions about their discoverability and what ORCID numbers meant and how they had to get it. A lot of them were very new researchers, just coming out of their PhDs. And even deans were wondering why certain articles don't show up on Scopus for some reason. The further issues they were having were authors' rights, and they didn't know what they could use and what of their own research they could use and reuse and share. And then a bit of a pivot was they had a lot of questions about how we were going to procure specific software that they needed to conduct their research. And a lot of the new faculty had a lot of questions about, well, I've just moved to Qatar from abroad. I have no network here, I don't have any grants in the country. How am I doing research here without funding? Okay, that's a tall order. So these conversations I was having about closed access culture, a lot of people were saying open access is, sometimes it's poorer quality than behind a paywall. These myths of it's too risky to engage in a space that's has predatory publishing somewhere in it. Or some people who were even advocates of open access were like, I like it, but I'm not paying out of pocket for it. And these were sort of all fair concerns, but they seemed to paint a picture of a very, very closed access space. So I started to switch a little bit over to the data. I'm not seeing the same. There we go. And then I started switching over to the data where I'm kind of just looked at 3 years of Scopus since the university became a university and saw that actually about 50% of our articles had some level of open access in it. And so what I learned was the naysayers of open access were just a little bit louder than the proponents, the supporters of open access, but they were still getting their publications through an open access route. So I strongly suggest if you're going to take this on, you're going to need to be a strong and loud advocate for open access on campus to kind of combat with the naysayers a bit. So how I did that in part was by showing the executives and the deans, particularly the people that I'd identified were not really pro-open access, what other universities were doing and what ways they could do it in kind of meaningful and affordable ways. So we were fortunate enough to partner with MENA. I'm not seeing... there we go. My apologies. We were fortunate to partner with QNL. You've heard MENA mentioned a few times in this session. They're hosting our institutional repository for us and allowed us. I'm not really going to go into detail about MENA because it's that's our lead show, I think, on Thursday. But suffice to say, it gave me an opening to promote open access in a positive way on campus. And I did that by kind of comparing ourselves to other benchmarking with other universities. So I pulled this 2020 article that kind of shows Bill Kent University at the top. I know at the back that's hard to see, but at the very top, we have Bill Kent University that's showing 97.7% of their publications available in by green open access in their repositories. So that's quite ambitious. Don't get me wrong, they're doing a great job. But as you go further down the list, you have universities like Warwick that have significantly more publications than the University of Doha does, but they're still at about the 60% mark. Now I'm looking at our Scopus stats. Organically, if we're at 50% and we're sort of at the beginning of our research culture, there was an opportunity here to really build open access as part of the framework and foundation of our future research culture. And when it was framed in this sort of way, and then there was a bit more argument with bringing in the UN SDGs, I started to get more buy-in from deans and executives about, oh, this is something that can impress and benchmark well against other universities. So once I've got Minara in place, I'm promoting green open access. We came to the issue of authors' rights, and having the institutional repository gave us the ability to actually write a author's addendum with our legal team that basically it allows us to have to circumvent the embargo periods. So there's a version of the paper can go directly into our repository without waiting. It's usually about 2 years is the embargo period. And all of this, again, trying to address the pain points of discoverability and open access and authors' rights. And I know that's very, very relevant for the conference here, but I need to take a kind of hard left turn because the next pain point was to do with software and data, specifically what research software we have that can support our faculty. We already had Scopus, but I do recommend getting a journalytics software. We happen to use Cables. That has saved me hundreds of hours of professors coming and asking where they should publish their articles, but they have this niche criteria that they need to publish before the end of the year, but they only have a certain amount of money. So this allowed me to search quite quickly through databases and meet their criteria a lot faster. Previously, as a college, we were relying heavily on RefWorks as our citation management tool. It's a great tool, but the researchers were calling for something a little bit more robust. And EndNote seems to have really filled that void. I'm not getting any complaints from faculty about that. And then linked to was Authenticate. Lots of the faculty really wanted to see their similarity scores without actually putting it in through Turnitin, which, as you know, would mean they'd have to rewrite their entire paper. And with Authenticate, they can resubmit their paper as many times on there and check their similarity score to their heart's content for whatever value they think that's going to give them. And last but not least, as I hand it over to Khadija here, the library will pay for systematic review instances like projects, licensed software. And to get more into that, I will invite Khadija up.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Kevin. So as Kevin mentioned, one of the pain points on campus was no central funding. There is national funding and there are national pots of money, but there's no funding necessarily on campus, but there is a pressure to publish. And so many faculty see systematic reviews or evidence synthesis in general as a low to no cost way to remain research active, given funding restrictions. There are different kinds of evidence synthesis, including scoping and systematic reviews. We decided to offer evidence synthesis support in order to ease this pain point and also in order to cement the role of a librarian as colleagues and co-researchers. If you are thinking, oh, I forgot to advance the slide, but this is the slide. If you are thinking of offering an evidence synthesis service to your faculty, I highly recommend this systematic review services specialization that's run by the Medical Library Association. It equips you with the skills and the ability that you're going to need to articulate to faculty exactly how long systematic reviews take if they're done right. as well as the amount of work, time, effort, and expertise that goes into systematic reviews if you're a librarian. And so I recommend this course or looking at any other free courses that are out there. The University of Michigan has a really good guide on it. I recommend going through all of this and understanding what best practice is before you decide to offer evidence synthesis to your faculty, because we're really where we draw the line. The librarians are where are people who uphold best practice, and then you're better able to educate your faculty on, no, what you're trying to do is not really a bona fide systematic review, for example. So this course equips you with the skills to be able to do that. In order to formalize our evidence synthesis service, we offer a memorandum of understanding that outlines why faculty should collaborate with us. It defines the roles and responsibilities as well as researcher expectations. This is available on our website for you to consult. Many other libraries, especially health science libraries, formalize librarian effort in the same way. Another lesson that we learned is to collect information, not only because it helps you build a clearer picture for your own planning, but also because it makes your work visible, and it ensures that librarian expertise receives as much attention as other aspects of the library, such as circulation or database usage statistics and so on. And so it is a little bit harder to capture librarian expertise and visualize it, but the way that we did that, much to Kevin's initial chagrin, is we collected who used our services, what services we used, and even the consultation format. So I started to track every email and every phone call that I made, and Kevin quickly got on board. And what this does is that because we're able to track at this level of granularity, we are then able to visualize the information that we track. And these are items that we can share with our leadership, which, as you all know, leadership across campuses everywhere appreciate visuals and easy to digest information. And so this really helped make the work of the Scholarly Communication and Research Unit visible. It also helped Kevin and myself insofar as you can see on the pie chart here on your left, that the College of Engineering, while it might be the largest college on campus, is not our largest user. The largest users of our services are actually faculty that come out of the business school and the College of Health Sciences. And so tracking information and visualizing it helps you operate off more than just a hunch, and it's also welcomed by leadership. Here are other examples for you to look at in your own time of how scholarly communication and research units at universities track their work. We decided to do it via Excel on the back end and charts on the front end. Another piece of advice, if you're thinking of offering these services, is to work with marketing as soon as possible. A low effort, high impact way to make sure that your services and your expertise is at the back of everyone's minds is to have something non-time bound on display across campus each semester. You will have to work with them on getting the messaging across to the audience that the library is more than just a place for books, i.e. that there are scholarly communication and research experts on campus for you to consult. And so you'll notice that the messaging to get across to the library is more than books. The first people that we had to communicate that to was the marketing team themselves, because when we asked them to create digital signage for us, the first sign included like these leather-bound books and that yellow book icon at the top. And then we had to have a conversation with them saying, no, the services that we're offering are beyond books, and they have to do with the whole range of scholarly communications. But once you're able to get that message across, you'll notice a great pickup in terms of demand for your services. I don't know what camp you fall into. Some people have a love-hate relationship with LibGuides. We have a love relationship with library guides. We were able to get over 1,500 views of the Scholarly Communication and Research Library Guide. Less than 2 academic years of existence. And one of the reasons that we're able to create and maintain a popular online presence is that we make sure that any email that comes out from leadership that talks about ORCID or Scopus author profiles or Google Scholar profiles or anything to do with scholarly communication and research, we make sure those emails have a link back to our library guide. So all the things that you prioritized during the poll might be your short to medium term goals. When it comes to our short to medium term goals, we are working on increasing buy-in for Manara and specifically increasing the number of green open access outputs or author accepted manuscripts on the repository. And then our long-term goals include supporting open educational resources as well as potentially a faculty track for academic librarians. As a gift to you, here are all of the resources that Kevin and I looked at our first academic year into the unit. We consulted many books, many organizations, many directories, many blogs. We relied on them for guidance. Here's a link to the Systematic Review Services specialization that I mentioned earlier. All of these resources and as well as these slides are available on the library guide. So if you'd like access to them to take a look at anything that we just shared, you're welcome to scan the QR code. Thank you very much.
Session and the in-depth also case study sharing their best practices with us. So let's share together, welcoming the next speaker, Dr. Saad from Qatar University. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. Sabine Saad from Qatar University. So I'm working at Qatar University Press. It's been 11 years I've been in Qatar University. I've been working in research as a coordinator first in a College of Law. And then I established with the committee that established the press. We established the press from there. And since then, it's been 6 years. So here I'm sharing my experience first at Qatar University, what journals we have at Qatar University, what is our contribution in open access within the outcome of research and graduate studies. This is what Dr. Ayman Irbad today was mentioning. So we are contributing to the open access output of the university. And I will also talk about the standards that we are following and what investment we could invest more, where we could invest more to improve the open access publishing in Qatar University, in Qatar, and maybe regionally as well. So I moved from the standards, and that's why I changed the title of the presentation, because first I started with the standards, and then I thought, so no, we have to say, why are we now pinpointing or talking about the standards? So if we are really working on the quality, we should know what it means to follow these quality measures. That's why the idea of making my research broader came, and it's about even investing more in open access publication in the Arab world. So first, I will talk about the outcomes of Qatar University Press. We are a non-profit publishing house established in 2018. As a non-profit, we are here to promote the peer-reviewed and research-based publications in all the fields of science. We are here to be leaders in books and journals publishing to advance knowledge. We also support the university's vision, and we are here to maybe make an impact in Qatar and the region. We are now publishing, we have two sections actually. We publish books and journals. A part of our books is a non-open access. Around 87 books have been published so far in a non-open access model, and 15 in open access model. The journals that I'm handling are 5 open access journals and 2 open access conference proceedings. So I will show you now the journals that we have at QU Press. Those are the 5 journals. First, the International Review of Law. And then the Journal of Education, Sharia and Islamic Studies. The third is the Journal of Education Sciences. The third is Tashsir. It's an interdisciplinary research journal in social sciences, and Ansaq in humanities. So most of them publish 2 issues per year and around 20 articles per year. So those journals are their scientific entity is the colleges of Qatar University. Now we move on to the conference proceedings, one of which is managed by the College of Engineering. So they usually do every 3 years a conference. It's called CIC. They published with us 127 articles in engineering and 130 articles in 2023. And we have another also conference proceeding with ESQA. It's called Academic Network for Development Dialogue Paper Series. We already published 8 articles in 2022, and now we are working on 13. So this is also how we are maybe making an impact regionally with them. The books that you are publishing in open access model are around 15. And they are in our Qatar University's DSpace library. We work a lot on indexing. We target first the Arab region's indexing databases, such as Dar al-Manzouma, Arsif, and the Arabic Citation Index. And we also target international indexing agencies, primarily Science Open. It was a very good experience with them because they are putting all the metadata in multilingual method where all the articles are searchable in Arabic and English. And we also index the International Review of Law in more subject-related indexing agencies like Mirabel, East Law, High Online, and Westlaw. So now we move on to my paper. It's about why we need to invest more in open access journals publishing in the Arab region. So why? What's the problem? The problem is about the highly cost that we are now paying for and solely rewarding and funding the scholars that publish in giant publishers, publishers. And because there is a skepticism about the investment value, about building strong national in-house publishing platform, and funding the right national regional publishing initiatives. So there is a need to give more confidence in what we can do in publishing. And because of not addressing the society's and industry's development objectives through research. Those are the main problems. Also, we have faculty promotion is related only to Scopus and Web of Science indexed publications. Also, we have a problem about considering faculty research as a way to be promoted rather than really filling a gap in research. And also, we have a problem of not employing the right people in the editorial board of journals. So we have the right scholarly candidates, but they are not employed in the journals. So we want to attract them more in serving our journals. Some problems also appear in the journals itself. Some journals are not, they don't have a broad research scope. They don't have transparent policies and clear policies. They fail to build a research community around the journal scope. They don't comply with the publishing and technical production standards, especially in Arabic, and tagging Arabic references or files. Not enough collaboration between editorial committee members. Not receiving enough quality papers to be published. Also, we have a lack in getting enough papers, and insufficient marketing, especially by authors that do not really develop their profiles. And also we have inactive publishers' role in auditing, because we, when we are here present to publish the journals of the university, we found that it is very beneficial to have a publisher that is separate and independent from the scientific board of the journal. So some institutions are not separating those two entities at the universities. But ours, yeah, we are separating those two entities at QU Press. And then not applying a proactive and ongoing evaluation system to reach international standards. So what are the objectives? Why should we invest more in open access scholarly publishing in the Arab world? It's about strengthening the cognitive power of Qatar and the Arab countries. It's about improving the global knowledge index of Qatar and other states. It's about reviving the capabilities of Arab scholars in advancing knowledge. It's about repositioning the Arab scholarly output among the world research map. It's about contributing and being the adequate source to supply countries in the region with the requisite human competencies to achieve their development aspirations and objectives. It's about filling the great knowledge gap that separates the Arab region from the developed world. It's to support the low status of innovation and research aspects that constitute the nerve center of knowledge. So this is why we should really give more support to open access journals in the Arab world. And also we need, it allows us to foster the research collaboration and to align the quality criteria of academic journals that I will now talking about, and to build a trusted publishing hub for Arab scholars, and to qualify Arab journals to enter the international indexing arena of Scopus and Web of Science, and to raise the impact and ranking of the associated institutions and universities, and to spread the research generated by Arab institutions globally. Also, to build a large pool of data to solve the lack of Arabic terminologies, especially in natural sciences and STEM fields. So this is why we have to invest more in journals. Now, is it long-term profitable if we now fund more the national journals, open access journals, or no? If we think about it, we see now make an environment scanning of what is happening. We see that it is a must, because we need to break the monopolistic dilemma of the giant publishers' extremely high APC charges. So then we have to calculate the investment value that we are getting from investing in those models. And then we have to calculate the losses that we are now having by putting all the funds in publishers like Hindawi and Frontiers or others, that we said that some papers were retracted from those databases, and what losses we are inflicting on governments by funding those. So we need to make a solution for this, and to calculate the losses and employ the losses somewhere else. And we need to think about the lost opportunities from letting the Arab scholars that are really qualified to publish in foreign journals instead of publishing with national journals. We need also to think about the how to increase the impact of Arab academic journals and place them among the international research map. So how to get them indexed and to be shown on the research map is very important. What benefits the institutions, education institutions could gain from making their impact higher, and what job opportunities we could also create in the Arab world by making ourselves more strong in the national publishing arena. And also it's about investment in the non-oil sector. So this is why we need to think about it and why it is long-term profitable. Then now I move on to how. How is about the standards that we also first mentioned that I will be talking about. Most of those standards we are following at Q Press, so it's based on my experience about how we deal with journals publishing. First, how there are 8 steps to follow. The steps are related first to build the correct infrastructure, the correct, it should be a bilingual or multilingual infrastructure, machine readable text in Arabic and English. It should allow simultaneous translation through artificial intelligence. It should be compatible with indexing standards to allow harvesting through Crossref, Dowage, and Google Scholar. It should be user-friendly and allows collaboration between all stakeholders, especially editors and authors. It should ensure security and safety to guarantee protection of rights, and it should be allows archiving and social media or social research sharing. So then first we talked about the platform, it should be strong. Second, it should be, so each journal should set transparent policies in line with COPE and or other international publishing standards. So the policies, first we have to build the website, then we have to fill the pages with correct policies and also communicate those policies to all the editorial board or whoever who is working on the journal and show it clearly on the website to all the stakeholders. Of course, the scope should be clear with a specific vision, mission, and clear research subjects. The frequency should be followed. The author submission form and all the guidelines should be there on the website and clear. The ethical statements also should be detailed and guaranteeing all the ethics, research ethics. And the peer review process should be also clear, standardized and objective. And we should employ a license. We usually use the Creative Commons licenses because we are publishing as an OA model at Qatar University Press. Then we move on also to a third criteria. It's about the proper editorial and administrative support. So first we talked about the website, then we talked about the policies. Now we talk about the people who are handling the journal. So the people should be also qualified. We should, because there are qualified Arab scholars, we should let them serve those journals and let them show their expertise and also reward them properly. We should also involve the graduate students. Yeah, and also we should have the editorial committee members collaborate with also international committee members. So the proper administrative and editorial setup should be there. And then we move on to the review. Of course, a journal cannot function if we don't guarantee the scientific quality of the papers. That's why we were talking about open access is different than open science. Here we should reinforce our role as publisher to control and audit what we are getting from the journals. And always try to pinpoint or try to create a two-way communication between us and them so that they always following the peer review standards. First, no paper should be peer-reviewed before ethical aspects are checked and verified. Ethical and structural aspects should be checked before peer review, before we put our effort in peer reviewing. And then we move on to the peer reviewer selection, also is based on the standards, such as diversified reviewers, specialized reviewers in the same field of the paper, a lot of criteria, known criteria. And then the process itself should be objective, anonymized for us, standardized, and constructive for the paper. And then the journal should enforce the authors to apply the revision of the peer reviewers. So some journals, they don't really give importance whether the author applied or didn't apply the recommendation of the peer reviewers, but we really care about checking if this is very delicate part that we are served here to see if the author is really taking advantage of the reviewers' comments or no. And this delicate part maybe could allow the paper to be accepted or no, and to be valid or no. That's what we were talking today about the quality of the papers. So our role is very important in checking all this, and the accepted papers should be at the end scientifically and then ethically checked again from the editorial committee members. Then we move on to the production part. Also, we should make sure that the journals are produced properly. We should make sure that the language is correct, copy editing, typesetting, and we have to, especially in Arabic, because it's difficult to tag or to revise the references in Arabic. So it's a very delicate work that we are doing in copy editing, typesetting, and tagging the files in the 3 versions, PDF, HTML, and XML. And we should enter the metadata in 2 languages in Crossref, and it should be rich metadata so that it is searchable, and so that it could be harvested and by API. So then we move on to how we can always get a steady number of papers. We make sure that the journals are trying to reach 15 to 25 research papers per year, that through collaborations, they can do collaborations by themselves. They can organize special issues about very important topics. And maybe the committee members, editorial members, also they can promote the journal in scientific conferences so that they can attract authors. And they could organize scientific yearly events to promote the journal and the authors. 7th, of course, we have a very big lack in marketing in the Arab region, especially in authors, not really showing their research output on their profiles. So we want the authors to really fill the profile of their in their social research platform. We want the journals to also promote themselves, and the publisher to promote the journals. Also, we want to index all the journals in the leading databases. So this is an important part, the marketing and indexing, to reach the discoverability percentage that we want to reach, so that the papers can be more cited. This is a very important part, since if the papers are not marketed for, not indexed, they could not reach the scholars, and they could not be cited. So this is also a very important part in the publishing process. The last part is the auditing part. No journal can really be getting the right quality papers unless it is later at the end somebody could control if it's really doing the review part or no. So our role as publisher or the institution that is managing the journals should ensure that there is an independent party or entity that is controlling or trying to see if the processes are followed, not scientifically, because they are not able to enter scientifically to each subject, but our role is to see if the processes and the standards have been followed. We check if we make this by a 2-way communication. So every time we get an issue, we try to check all the standards and to give feedback for the journals so that they also give us feedback on what's happening. It's a 2-way communication. It's not really like yes or no, or we cannot publish your papers. No, it's a 2-way communication so that they can raise their standards. And we're always present there to push them to follow the standards. There should be an evaluation also from an external party, not only from self-evaluation based on specific standards that are equivalent to Scopus standards and Web of Science. We have a lot of criteria, evaluation criteria to evaluate our journals based on Web of Science and Scopus. So we went to Scopus and the Web of Science, we checked what they need. We put those criteria for the evaluation of our journals so they make a self-evaluation. And this not only self-evaluation, but also should have an external evaluation. So this is what we believe a proper publishing and open access should be. Not only like we were saying, in order to overcome the challenge that we are saying that our journals are not about open access, it's about open science, making sure that the science is valid, reliable, and generalizable. So we make sure that the rigorousness of the papers are there. So I don't believe there could be an real open access publishing in the Arab world unless we follow those steps. So here are some initiatives in the Arab world, especially in ranking and indexing. It's very interesting how eMarifa database are ranking the journals. They did an amazing job, but we also think about their how it is holistic or broad they could be. So then I also showed the major indexing databases. There are a lot of others, but those are the major ones. Also, we always find in the Arab world that they are only serving a part of the countries. They are serving only some part. They're not really representing the whole Arab research community. Every country is like in eMarifa, they're trying to only, they're not, they are trying, but they're not able. So here we can think about why they're not able. Could it be better to be supporting them or to make a coalition? So that's why I putting this slide to think about also some national initiatives to build a common national journals platform, because in Egypt we see that they have a common journals platform, in Algeria as well, in Iraq, in Jordan, Saudi Arabia. So we see that they have a very big output of research because they have this national journal publishing platform, but it doesn't guarantee the entering to Scopus or Web of Science. So we want to also think about the relationship if it is good that we have this national repository or whether it is better to be independent. But I think as long as we are putting all the work efforts together, it would be maybe also better. There is always something lacking. We're trying to do some efforts, but there is some lack. So that's why we move on to the conclusions. Because of this lack that we see, could it be a good solution to redeploy the government funds, not only in the giant publishers, but also in building our own Arab open access publishing means, and maybe fund an equivalent Arab version of Scopus of Web of Science? In a way, is it good that we create our own or make a collaboration with Scopus and Web of Science so we can be able to index more Arab journals? And we also have a lack in searching for peer reviewers. So we have a lack of a similar version of Publins that could be open and reliable. And we also need a reward program for scholars, because there is a reward program for scholars that publish only in Scopus and Web of Science, but there is no reward for scholars that publish in our own journals. So we are here to make a reward program as well for the Arab scholars that publish with us as well. Also, there is a very important aspect of now, because of the artificial intelligence, we could also have an artificial intelligence-based platform so that the articles that are published in Arabic simultaneously and translated to English, so that we could make our papers more discoverable around the world quickly. We have to also make sure the metadata is very rich, because sometimes if the article is not registered properly in Crossref, it couldn't be cited properly, it couldn't be searchable, and about the marketing also very important for Arab journals as well, to make a lot of efforts in this matter. Yeah, any questions? And maybe later. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
This interesting presentation. She took us like in details through the whole journey from A to Z for the journals. And I like, I'm like, as a person, I like the idea of rewarding also, and the incentive given to these like young, let's say, scholars and gifted students, and also like doctors, faculty, scientists. So this is as I teach like my lecture in my lectures, my students, I told them about the Arabic, the old like Arabic Islamic emperor and the empire. So it was here, like one of the secrets for the golden age of sciences and creativity that time was investing in human resources, and also rewarding, these like scientists and the creative people. So you can, attract them, and you can use their experience and all of these things, like put them all, melt all of these like heads in one pot, and you will see the results after. Thank you so much. So we'll pause a little bit for the Maghrib prayer, and then we welcome the third speaker.
Hello and good evening, everybody, or good afternoon. So I'm Salah Hadjour from Hamad bin Khalifa University, and today I'm gonna to give you an overview of HBKU press rule in open science. And let's start with a brief introduction about HBKU Press. So we aim to be among leading publisher in the MENA region, and we are innovative, fast global publishing service. So we are part of Hamad bin Khalifa University, which is a member of Qatar Foundation. And if you are not familiar with HBKU, so HBKU is a relatively new university that is founded around 2010. However, we have made some a great positive adventure during the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm gonna to show you some example for this accomplishment. So we have 8 journals, and these journals, as you see from the screen, some of them are health-related journal, which is Qatar Medical Journal, Journal of Emergency Medicine, Trauma and Acute Care, and Qatar Journal of Public Health and Avicenna. We have another journal that is called Arabian Journal of Scientific Research, AGSR. This journal is publishing only Arabic content, and it doesn't publish in English. We have also the Journal of Jest and Doha International Family Institute Journal. And lastly, we have interdisciplinary journal that is called Q Science Connect. So all of these journals are open access. When I'm saying open access, I mean it's gold open access, and we do not ask authors to pay ABC, and it's not fully funded by HBKU. Most of these journals are sponsored by institutions inside and outside Qatar, and there is a long story among this. So I'm gonna to show you later how did we secure funds for these journals. So we have, as I mentioned, we are partnered with entities inside and outside Qatar, and these are the partners of our journal. So Qatar Journal of Public Health is sponsored by Qatar Ministry of Public Health. Arabian Journal of Scientific Research is sponsored by Arab Scientific Community Organization. We have a Journal of Information Studies and Technology, which is sponsored by a Special Library Association. We have also upcoming journal that is sponsored by entities inside the QF, which is called a Pre-University Education Journal. Most of our papers are based on research that is conducted inside Qatar, but we also have research that is conducted outside Qatar by international scholars from all over the world. So far, we publish around 3,200 journals articles. We also publish around 4,000 conference papers and 50 books. Some of our journals are bilingual, so we publish in both language, English and Arabic. And we are trying to promote the culture of open science among scholars who are submitting the research, especially people who are studying in Hamad bin Khalifa University or other entities inside Qatar Foundation. As you may know, there are some around 8 journals that are under QF, and these journals are trying to submit research to HBKU Press, and we are trying to promote the open science culture among these scholars. And in the next slides, I'm going to show you case studies. How do we provide training for scholars, especially people who are struggling with submitting their research in English language. I mean, people who have some difficulties in the English language, however, they have some sound scientific research that is evidence-based, and it could be published in international journal. So we have also expedited publishing service. Most of our journals, if you submitted a research, you will get the first decision after 2 to 3 weeks, which is very good compared to other publishers. We also provide virtual training for authors, also for students from inside HBKU or outside HBKU if needed. And we have some case studies for these journals. If you notice here, our bilingual journal is Doha International Family Institute Journal, Journal of Information Studies and Technology, and Q Science. The Arabian Journal of Scientific Research is only Arabic journal. And these are some case studies that we're going to highlight in my talk. So some of our journals are already indexed in Scopus. Health-related journals are also indexed in PubMed. We have also some other indexation bodies, and you can look on Q Science, which is our platform, to see how is the indexation bodies among these journals. We also submitted some application for other indexation bodies and receive some feedback, positive feedback for the first evaluation states, since we are fulfilling the criteria that is needed for these indexations. So these are some case studies for GymTech and QMJ, and I wanted to highlight here these case studies because some of authors, as I mentioned, they are trying to submit research, however, they cannot transfer the research from the thesis or dissertation into research articles. So we here have an initiative that is, launched in 2021. Recently, it's 3 years ago. And in this initiative, we provided special issues for people who have thesis and want to transfer and publish it as a research article. So we provided guidance for people who have submitted their dissertation from a graduated student, if it was master or PhD, and we help these people to transfer the thesis into a journal article. So we guide them through shortening these theses into around 12 or 13 pages. We also give them the opportunity to learn how the research on the ground goes when it's submitted for peer review and were submitted by the editorial board. So we select the maximum reputable or the highest quality submissions every year. So we have around 5 articles every year, and we select these 5 articles based on the scientific knowledge behind their own thesis or dissertation, and we guide authors through the process. We do not do anything instead of author. They do itself, but we guide them how to transfer the thesis and publish it into research article. We have some good cooperation from people inside Qatar. We have also people that submitted their research from Qatar University, Northwestern University in Qatar, Sultan Qaboos University, and other entities inside and outside Qatar. So the aim from this initiative was to help people understand the editorial process and peer review process. And it was in collaboration with their scholars from inside the institution, if they agreed. And the author, the first author would be the same of the student, the graduate student, and his advisor in the university. We do not interpret in the scientific content. We also guide authors or students how to shorten the thesis into research articles. We have also a new journal that is coming soon, which is regarding evidence-based practice and emerging evidence on topic related on AI for a pre-university until K-12 educations. We have also some interest in behavior management of adults, our language and educational practices and policies. This journal will also be open access free for author. It's also sponsored by entities that is called Pre-University Education Office, which is part of Qatar Foundation. We have also published some conference collaboration from people outside Qatar and inside Qatar. These scientific content were published on a Q-Science platform, and it's going to, you will see this on a Q-Science platform. So we are also trying to transfer knowledge into action. So we posted many call for papers that are related to the health problem that we have in Qatar or other problem that is not related to the health issue. So we have been interested in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal. We have been interested also in the recent conflict in Gaza and how its complication on the health sector or health service. We also been interested on other research that is related to the information and public health sciences. Lastly, I wouldn't spend much time. So we have a recent vacant position for journals publisher. It's a rule inside HBKU Press. And if you can spread the word, this would be amazing. So it comes with some remuneration that is appealing for people. So that concludes my presentation. And of course, if you have any question, I'm happy to answer it. Please contact us on this email address. Thank you so much.
This inspiring also presentation, sharing your experiences from your university. And we will open the door for discussion, Q&A for the four speakers, actually. The first speakers were like two together, and we have the other two speakers also, the second and the third. So welcome. Anybody would like to raise a question? Yeah? Any question? We will encourage you to share questions so we can also share knowledge, expand our knowledge by sharing questions. Do you have questions or suggestions? Feel free to share. Yes, Doctor.
Hello. Good evening. Thank you very much. I think my comment is directed towards Dr. Salah. I am from the HBKU Library. I am one of the coordinators for the digital repository, Manara, here at the library. We've been uploading content to the repository, and I think I had a discussion with Dr. Al-Walid about publishing, uploading to Manara, I think non-active HBKU journals to the repository. And I would like to find out if from your end as HBKU Press, if you have intentions in the future to work probably maybe with us and QNL to be able to publish some of the open access content to our repository, which is of course yours also as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, the floor is yours, Dr. Salah.
Thank you, thank you. We have some good collaboration with people from a Qatar National Library Special Manara platform, and we are submitting our content to a Manara platform. So if there is any missing content, we would be happy to add this content and provide you with the content. Yeah, just send an email to this email address, and I would follow up with this regard. Yeah, thank you.
Any other question or recommendation, suggestions?
Just wanted to add a comment. Yeah, so there is a missing part in the initiative that we launched in 2021 that is regarding helping students. So it's not necessary that the students submit their work to HPQU based journals. So some of the students who had worked with us in this thesis transformation into research article submitted their work outside HBQ, and we do not force them to submit into our journals. And if you have some statistic for a graduate student from HBQ, you will find that all PhD students have at least 2 articles that are published in Scopus Index journals. All PhD students from HBQ, and some of master students publish an article or more than an article. Some of PhD students have published more than 6 and 7 articles in Scopus Index journals. So this initiative I would recommend to other publishers, and it would help people if you are focusing on a special group of a student, and if your community is not large enough like HBQU, so you could help people to submit their work, and you could help people get a better representation of their work and submit it even outside your institution or publishing platform.
Thank you, Dr. Salah. Any other questions to the other presenters, ladies and gentlemen, before we close? Yes, yeah.
I just wanted to commend you on your presentation, and the way that you articulated it was so well. Especially, I really appreciated the point you made about how it's going to be really difficult to uplift scholarship in the region if our incentive structures for promotion are tied to external indexes. And I thought that was very much on the ball, and I think that's the crux of the matter that many people struggle with. And I really appreciated the way that you encapsulated such a complex topic and really walked us through it from beginning to end. So thank you very much.
I agree, actually. Yes, all of you presented, inspiring presentations and information. Just like a question from myself, for example, to everybody and Dr. Salah, are these journals, your journals also receiving, contribution from external researchers, and even the service of guidance, especially when you said for these PhD, for example, students or master students who submitted their thesis or dissertation, helping them to publish a paper in a journal from their thesis. So are these open for external researchers and students, or is it just for those people under the universities of Qatar and your own university?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we prioritize people from inside HBQU and then go for people inside Qatar. So if there is someone from other institutions that is outside HBQU, so he or she is welcome to submit his dissertation and go through the process of publishing for this dissertation.
Wonderful, yeah. Thank you so much. So thank you, everybody. And thanks for attending, and have a good evening. And we'll see you, inshallah, the other day. And we hope you enjoyed the tour as well. Thank you.